back to Unladylike Opinions. This is Black Ink Crew, Chicago, Season 7, Episode 9, A Prince Among Women. I didn't expect to have this many notes on this episode because it really triggered the hell out of me, but it is what it is. Here we go. So the episode starts off with Neek surprising Charmaine with the picnic for their 5th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. And she tells him about Prince bringing Drea into the shop while she was burying her daddy, bringing Steven, Drea, in a big bag of chicken. She told him never to bring Drea to the shop, and plus, he is 2 months behind on his booth rent. And I'm like, so what Neek need to know that for? I don't understand. But, I understand not bringing Drea to the shop. Yeah, Prince was wrong for that. But you ain't got to be telling people that he late on the booth rent or whatever. So, Neek says, what's she going to do about it? And she said she was going to set up a meeting between Prince and Mariah. She was going to set up a meeting with Prince, and she was going to invite Mariah so they could talk about it. And I'm like, why are you inviting her to a meeting about business? There you go again, mixing business with personal, but then telling everybody else they mixing business with personal. But that they lead by example. You keep doing it. So, Neek tells her, she need to keep it professional and not let it get like it did at the dinner. And I'm like, wishful thinking, we'll get to that later. So Steven teaching Kit how to tattoo, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah again. And Kit says she doesn't know why Charmaine flipped out over Prince over a rumor. And Steve says, you guys need to talk it over later on. And Kit says they would talk when they need to, and she says, Charmaine dad passed away, and Steven said, yeah, that's what I mean. Life is short, and you never want to go you never want to go with regrets. And Kit knows that Charmaine is going through a lot, and she wants them to start the path of reconciliation. She knows that, it won't be perfect and it'll never be the same, but, it'll be a start. So then you see Charmaine at her empty ass shop, and Ryan shows up, and she tells him, she losing artists left and right, and you don't see what the common denominator is. Okay, girl. So, Ryan was like, you working the front desk too? You ain't got no receptionist either? She was like, nah. And I'm like, so they go talk, and they talk about her dad, and she said, she missing him. She was a true daddy girl, and it hasn't fully hit her. She's been on go because she don't want to sit still. And, she was like, she might take a page out of his book and go see a therapist and process everything that's going on. And I'm like, girl, please go see another therapist. I'm not no shade to his therapist, because I think she was actually pretty good, but this is Ryan. She didn't help him at all. She helped him for a moment, not at all. But she bring up Prince and Drea, and Ryan was like, that wasn't none of our business, and it wasn't the right time for you to disclose all that. And she agrees with, she said, that's my home girl. And Ryan says, Prince has held you down when no one was here, and you didn't have to embarrass him in front of us like that. And I'm like, exactly. And she agrees, but of course she keeps saying like that was her home girl, whatever. And you see Don over at 9 Man. He's saging the place, and he starts saging around 4, because 4 over there sleep. That baby got 4 over there laid out tired, the late night feedings and diaper changes, 4 over there sleep. And Ryan shows up, and he said, he glad to see them or whatever, and they glad to see him. And he was like, he got his head on straight lines. And he asked, question. Has Steven been working? And Don, of all people, gonna holler out, yeah, when the cameras are around. And he like, we had a talk, and he even gave me his word that, we shook on it. He even gave me his word that he was only supposed to guest spot for a few weeks. And I'm sitting here like, he was like, he gave me his word that, he was going to do this, he was going to do that. And I'm like, and he told you he was just going to be guest spotting there. You acting like he wanted to be there long term or something. He said he was only going to be there for a few weeks. And he go bringing up Kit, saying that that's where Steven's obligation is at. And I'm like, whatever. So you see Drea tattooing at her home. Then they showing Prince tattooing at the same time. Drea said, she got to get to this bag by any means. Like, this is not the ideal shop, but she's not going to let Charmaine stop her from making money. So Prince still tattooing at Second City, but he said he working on his next move, to get out of there. So Prince says bad enough Charmaine tried to turn up on him in front of his friends, but then she put his relationship in jeopardy, and all her professionalism went out the window. I agree. And he said Mariah been hitting him up for days, but he ain't got nothing to say to her because she took Charmaine word over his because she's known Charmaine longer. And I'm like, girl, your friend played you. She really played you. She was vindictive because if you been through this, why you waited till you got mad at Prince to disclose it? I don't want friends like that. And then I learned my lesson with telling friends anything because they gonna turn on you when you ain't did nothing but tell them the truth. Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But Charmaine used hers as a weapon. I didn't. But each his own. So he said, he wants to be with someone that's gonna have his back 100%, and Mariah just completely took Charmaine's side. So Drea said, despite the rumor, Prince is like one of her closest friends in Chicago, and they not gonna let everything that Charmaine is saying and going around doing tarnish their friendship. So Steven walks in while Ryan is telling everyone of his crew that he appreciates them and he got his head on straight. Went out the window soon. Steven walked in. Didn't even give Steven the common courtesy to be like, let's go talk in the back. Went straight out the gate in front of everybody. Steven says, it's his last 2 days there and he gonna be leaving Friday. And Ryan looking like, say what now? And he was like, then he goes like, you ain't been there here like you said you would. And Steven said, after the dinner, I feel like the energy was off. And Ryan was like, with who? And he said, with you and Kit and me being in the middle. And Ryan tries to boss up and gonna say, this my home. What she got to do with it? And Steven was like, Steven was like poised and trying to like explain, but Ryan, like turned up, and I'm like, so much for therapy. So Steven like really doesn't need to be this way, and he thinks Ryan still has a beef with him because of his association with Kitty. He does. So Ryan telling him he missing out on the opportunity, and I'm at the top of the game. I'm at the top of this stuff right here. But why you ain't put more into it? Kid ain't gonna feed your family like I will. And I'm like, what? Steven says in his confessional, my whole life is in London. My kids, my career, coming to Chicago was never going to be long term for me. And I'm like, which he told Ryan that in the beginning. They all knew that he was going back to London. He wasn't staying. And I'm like, whatever. So, him and Ryan shake on it or whatever. And that's that on that. So Prince, Drea, Steven, and Kid all meeting up to hang out because it's Steven last few days in Chicago. So Steven tells them whenever they come to London, he wants to reciprocate the same love to them that they showed him. He tells them, about what happened at Nine Mag with Ryan, and he said he went to Ryan and asked if he could guest spot there, and he guessed Ryan read it the wrong way and thought he was going to be there every day hanging out around, and even if he had nothing to do. And he was like, that's not what I wanted to do. I did what I had to do, and days I didn't have nothing to do, I didn't come. Like, well, I'm coming every day for just sit there? And I'm like, yeah, like done. So, oh, I thought my camera was cool. So, Prince, like, he wanted you to feel bad for not being there that much. And Prince said, the reason why is because of Kit. This how Chicago ninjas is. And Kid like, no, I don't think so. And he was like, yes, that's how Chicago is. It's because of you. And she said she feels foolish because she the one told him he should go to Nine Mag and get the experience because Ryan is a good boss. And she said he was like, and she tells him he held up his end of the bargain. And Kit asked Prince if he's still at Second City Inc. and would he consider going to Nine Mag. And he like, he can go to Nine Mag because he ain't got Kitty with him, so he ain't got to worry about what Steven going through. And she started laughing, and then they toast to Steven leaving or whatever. So Mariah comes to see Charmaine, and they talk about the rumors about him and Drea. And Mariah said she wasn't upset, and she wasn't upset with Charmaine for telling her, and she would have had those thoughts anyway because Prince and Drea FaceTime a lot, they hang out a lot. And when she asks, all he says is that they are just friends and they are artists and they paint a lot together. But she like, ain't nothing open that late at night but legs and White Castle. And I'm like, girl, go ahead. So she said she hasn't seen him since the dinner that he had for her. And he felt like she wasn't on his side, and Charmaine is like, I'm so disappointed in him. He's not the person that I met, and I'm the one that introduced you to him. I'm so disappointed. Like, girl. So she was like, and then he 2 months behind on his booth rent. And as she says this, Prince walk in. I'm like, why is you telling her business? That's it. That's what he is saying. Like, why is you telling her that he is 2 months behind on his booth rent? What did Mariah need to know that for? Why is Mariah there at your business to talk about personal at a business? Make it make sense, boss. Girl. So he walks in and tells them that they don't know how to separate their relationship from his relationship and Mariah's. And Charmaine gonna say, no, you don't know how to separate your relationship with Drea from your business relationship. And I'm like, Charmaine, you don't want to mix business with personal when you call yourself out him and Drea. And he said him and Drea have a work relationship, and you know you bogus for what you did. And she was like, you owe me $3,000. And he like, and you owe me an apology. I got your money. I always been loyal to you, and I stood by you. And Charmaine hollered until Drea came back. And I'm like, the way you begged Drea to come back, all this wasn't going on until they called you out on your bullcrap. Like, come on now, be for real. You got on your hands and knees and begged Drea. And now everything is Drea's fault. Because they called you out because you whatever. And he was like, I got your money and I always was loyal and stood by you. And Charmaine hollered out until Drea came back, and he looks to Mariah and says, so you still think that I'm, screwing Drea because you never would have thought that if she didn't put it in your head. And he tells Charmaine, you got all this stuff to say now about my relationship, but you never had this power or a reason to step over these boundaries until you was questioned on how you was running the shop. He tells her she doesn't want to accept help because that's all he's tried to do for her. And she like, you never took the lead role as a lead artist. Let's be real. And he like, you never gave me a chance. And when everybody come in here, they always ask me how it is working here. Because I'm the only one that's here. How am I going to be a lead artist when I'm the only one working here? Make it make sense. I was like, okay, Prince. I need Prince to calm down, but Prince making valid points or whatever. But I understand when you 38 hot, you mad, and somebody questioning you. I understand or whatever, but they're gonna always look at it like he a man and she a woman. But she can turn up on him, but he can't turn up back. That it don't make sense sometimes. And he was like, she said, you don't pay your rent, lead artist. And he like, shawty, I got your bread. It's nothing. But I want you to straighten this mess out between me and her before I pay you. And she tells him, she was like, you can keep your money. And she tells him, she doesn't care. He doesn't care about Mariah because he ain't been hitting her up. And he ain't did this. And she was like, how you know? She was like, because I've been there. And she said, Prince would never talk to a man the way that he talked to me because I'm a woman. He talking to me like that. He'll never talk to Ryan. Why do you think Ryan's so bad? Why do you think Ryan's so big and bad? Like, can't nobody talk to Ryan because Ryan's supposed to be this top boss. I think Rent was wholeheartedly go off on Ryan if he had to. And she tells him you no longer work here because, you haven't handled your business. And he like, who gonna move my stuff? Neek. And she said, like I can get another artist to do it. And he stand up and was like, ain't nobody gonna touch my stuff. On fly, ain't nobody gonna touch my stuff. And she was like, oh, you standing up? Oh, you threatening me now? That them words is. That them white girl words that she like to use. The valley girl. So, Charmaine tells him, you need to calm down. And he was like, where Neek at? I need to talk to Neek. And she like, he never wants to communicate with you. And she says Neek would treat the F out of you. And I'm like, girl, Neek, girl, please. And she was like, you need to watch how you talking to me because I'm a woman, bitch. And I was like, oh wow. And even what's the little bitch name? Mariah was like, okay, but she didn't call out on it. She just said, okay, because, you was wrong for calling that man out your name. Now, he called you one back, he wouldn't have been wrong. But she gets Neek on the phone, And instead of him trying to diffuse the situation, I understand you taking up for your wife, but you can also take up for your wife and call her out on her BS at the same time. Like, she's supposed to be pregnant and she all over there upset. You could have calmed that whole thing down. Like, point blank to the period. I don't care what y'all say. He could have calmed that down. Like, he could have calmed Prince. Prince, she said, I'm a woman. So he asked to talk to Neek. Man to man. Why he wanted to talk to Neek, I don't know, but I guess it's a man thing. I won't know. I guess, I don't know. But she could have talked to, Neek could have diffused the situation. It could have diffused it, but he cranked it up some more. So, she was like, so Neek started going on to my some, it's dead. The business relationship is gone, brother, and stuff like that. So he hang up the phone on Neek, and he throws Charmaine phone, and she holla, get him out my shop. And he asked Mariah, like, if are you going or you staying? You going with me or you staying here with her? Why he asked her that, I don't know. And she was like, I'm staying. And I was like, okay. So he walks out. She walks out right behind him. And I'm like, I thought you were staying with Charmaine. And, he was like, she was like, you can't be hollering at a pregnant woman. Okay, here we go with that. Just because she pregnant or she going through something, she could do and say what she want to say, but I can't respond. No. And, he was like, she called me a bitch multiple times. I ain't no bitch. Or whatever. And his brother asked Mariah, is there any proof that he, F Drea? And she like, no, I didn't believe that. And then he was like, exactly. And he walks out. And he tried to tell his brother, like, you don't work for her no more either. And I'm like, nah, you can't tell your brother that. I mean, I would go with my brother, but some people ain't loyal like that. And she was like, he hasn't been there for me. Charmaine has been the one for me, been there for me, or whatever. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do. And now I'm pregnant. And I'm like, and you gonna keep the baby? No shade, but girl, if I would have knew what I knew, baby, that last one wouldn't have been here. But y'all ain't heard that from me. Don't tell him I said that. And we see Prince driving off, and she says she went to the doctor. He never responded to a text when she went to do her ultrasound. He said his car was broke down. He doesn't respond. He doesn't talk to her. And she was like, so F him. I've been there for him for so long. I'm not being there for him no more. And his brother hugs her and tells her he gonna talk to him. He ain't gonna talk to him, girl. He gonna listen to him, and he ain't gonna talk to him. He might, cause baby, I would have cussed my brother cleaned out. But that's just me. But that was my review of Black Ink Crew Chicago. I really didn't care about this episode because it pissed me off. But like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will get back to you whenever it come on. Hopefully it won't be too late, because this week is my relaxing week. Bye. Thank you.